affects us all personally is how we're going to pay for school. Many of us depend on scholarships and grants to pay for it, but what happens when funding for those are cut? We have to take out student loans. For me personally, after 4 years of college and 3 years of grad school, my student loans are going to be well over $100,000. This is why cuts to education funding are harmful. Cuts to education funding will hurt students, cuts to education funding will hurt teachers, and cuts to education funding will hurt higher education. My first point is that cuts to education funding will hurt students. You know, the first thing that's going to be cut when a high school has to balance their budget is going to be extracurriculars, such as sports or the fine arts. Well, these things may be fun, but they also have their benefits. In a study done by Mary Rambokas, an educational expert, she found that extracurricular activities help students achieve a higher GPA, enhance their social development, and it helps at-risk students stay in school. Well, those are all reasons not to cut. For me personally, I was a cheerleader in high school, and cheerleading taught me self-motivation, responsibility, and time management and organization. If I wasn't organized, no, the squad would have fell apart because I was the one responsible for making sure everybody knew where they had to be and making sure they were there on time. If I wouldn't have made sure they knew where they were, we would have had 5 girls in 5 different places. So that's something schools should consider when they're cutting extracurriculars, is that they do have their benefits. So cuts to education funding hurt students. Along with hurting students, cuts to education funding also hurt teachers. According to State House, which is broadcast in South Dakota Public Broadcasting, and it takes you inside legislative sessions, it says that part-time teachers will face layoffs, and full-time teachers and professors are going to have to take on larger class sizes, which in turn will harm the teacher because they're going to have to spend more time correcting and more time planning for larger classes. But it'll also hurt the students in the long run because they're not going to get the individual time with the teacher that they need. And according to Teacher Salary Info, when teachers have to face cuts, in 2009 their median salary was $37,536, which makes South Dakota ranked 51st in the nation for pay. So when they have to face cuts, they're already underpaid for the job they do. They have one of the most important jobs because they have to educate the future. So when they have to face cuts, they're going to have to eliminate stuff, but they're also going to have to buy more things for their classrooms because the school will not provide it, such as supplies or decorations for their classrooms. So they're going to face new challenges. So education funding cuts hurt teachers. Along with hurting teachers, education funding cuts also hurt higher education. Again, according to State House, in a latest episode, they talked about they talked about education funding for higher education. In the last 3 years, $28 million has been cut from higher education. And they expect in the next year to expect a 6 to 8% tuition increase. Well, as of yesterday, we can expect a 6.9% increase in tuition next year. And then what happens with the rising tuition? Students depend more and more on scholarships. Well, these scholarships are losing funding. In the November 17, 2010 edition of the USD Gallant, they talked about the South Dakota Opportunity Scholarship, which is a $5,000 scholarship for students who took difficult classes in high school. They earned a certain GPA and a certain ACT score. Well, if this is cut, students could lose half of their scholarship, and it's not guaranteed money if you've already got it. This scholarship has grown in popularity by 42%. This year alone, 1,176 students took advantage of it at USD. So, education funding cuts will hurt higher education. Now my call to action for you guys is to stand up and express our opinions to Governor Duggar and tell him that there are other places in the budget that funding should be cut from before it is cut from education. Education funding is not only important for us, but for the future generations to come. This is why education funding cuts are harmful. Education funding cuts hurt students, education funding cuts hurt teachers, and education funding cuts hurt higher education. Thank you.